Hi everyone, Sarah, the owner and creator of Multivarious Nature. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you're a new viewer, I'm so glad that you're here and welcome. And if you're returning, I'm glad you're back. And this is going to be just kind of a fun little video. It's not the usual podcast. I just want to talk about something that Advent calendars is a big thing that's coming up here, believe it or not already. It's more of for December, of course. But a lot of people, including myself, are on a budget. So, splurging and getting an advent calendar from an indie dyer isn't always the easiest thing for everyone to do. So I wanted to show you kind of a fun way you can make your own. So this literally is using things that I just found around my house. So you may have them yourself, especially being a creative individual. A lot of people have this kind of stuff around. If you don't, you can get it for a reasonable price. So this is kind of a DIY advent on a budget, if you will. So what I did, I had like just a bunch of scraps of fabric. So these are all cut up. I'm basically making little drawstring bags to make my own advent calendar. I will be using my indie dyed yarn that I'm going to be dyeing up for the advent calendars that are in the shop currently. There are still some available if you do want to purchase one. However, you can definitely make your own advent calendar, and this is how you could do that. So, like I said, I just had a bunch of scraps of fabric. This one is like a little leaf pattern, and they're all relatively small in size. I'd want to say like 6 inches by 7 inches, or 6 inches by 7.5 inches. The squares that are like rectangles I cut out. And so I have like the leaf pattern, and then I ran out of fabric, and so I decided I had some of this really pretty kind of a vintage floral patterning. So I cut out a bunch of those, and then I also cut out a bunch of this really pretty dark green that has kind of a leaf, almost a batik print look to it on there. So I cut out a bunch of those. So you can kind of see what I'm up to here. But so I cut out a bunch of those. So 25 bags in total. If you are buying the Multivarious Nature Advent Calendar, you will be receiving 24 mini skeins and one full-size 100-gram skein. That 100-gram skein would not fit in these bags. You could make a bigger bag for that if you wanted, but the Multivarious Nature Calendar each will be wrapped individually, so you don't need to do this if you're purchasing that calendar. However, for the sake of a budget calendar, this is what you could do. So all I did is I cut out those rectangles. I then went down about an inch or so down from the top, and then sewed around the outside. And then I took my iron and just folded that. I did like, I'd say about a quarter of an inch. It's kind of hard to see, but I folded it in about a quarter of an inch here, in a quarter of an inch across the bottom, in a quarter of an inch across the side, ironed that, then folded it over, so it's going to create a pocket that goes all the way around with openings on the ends. And now I'm going to be then stitching, opening this up, stitching across this really close to the edge with sewing machine. You could do it by hand if you want, but for the sake of time, I'm using my sewing machine. So I sewed up all of these like all the way around. Throwing my bags. Okay. So I sewed up all the way around and pinned the tops down so that they'll kind of sit that way, and they'll be fine. So that when I go to sew them, if I take the pins out, they'll be okay, and they're not going to move around while I'm sewing it. Then I had a bunch of ribbon. It doesn't have the dimension on here. The width, it's an 1/8 of an inch thick ribbon. And I just have all kinds of different colors, just random. These were in my little craft. I have a bin that's like just my craft bin. It just has all kinds of really random things in there. And this is something I've had since, I think, middle school. I used to make, I I'm sure you've seen this before. It was a big thing during that time when I was in middle school, which feels like forever ago. But they were little beaded animals where you put like, they're relatively large plastic beads, and you create creatures by stacking these beads and then put them on like a keychain or something like that. And I did a lot of that. So I had a bunch of this left over, and I just held on to it. And I'm so glad I did, because this is perfect for this project. So like I said, I made those little pockets. I then grabbed, this is a really terrible video when it comes to instruction, but I'm just giving you guys ideas here so you can run with this, do what you will. So you need ribbon, scrap fabric of varying sizes, like here's a smaller one, here's a bigger one. This is that leaf print I was talking about. It's really pretty, batik looking. I love it. And obviously yarn. So if you happen to have scraps of yarn, little bits left over from projects, this is about a 20 gram left over from a project that I had that I schemed back up. So these would be like your individuals, and you just put these in your little bags, and then when December 1st rolls around, grab day 1, and then poof, you know, surprise color, whichever color you put in there is your color that you get to use. So it's a really fun way to use up scraps of yarn that you have, and then have a fun project, you know, that you can do for Advent. So, so you need that. You also need like embroidery floss, or you don't need that, but that's what I used. So I just had this bag of like all kinds of super random colored embroidery floss, and I'm just grabbing a good contrast color so it would be visible. I used regular chalkboard chalk, and then what I used that for was to draw the number on my bag once I finished sewing around the border and then across the little pocket here. And then, which I guess you could embroider this before you sew it together, but I do things backwards, so. And then I just sewed the number. So this is the number 1. And I have no idea what type of stitch that is. I think it's like a French something or other where you like stitch in between your stitch. I am not an embroidery expert at all. This is like, I have touched embroidery. So you go up through this, like you do a stitch, and then you go up through the middle of the stitch, and then do another stitch. Creates a really pretty texture. And then here's number 2. You can see, obviously, I'm not an expert. Like, this is a really big stitch, but I don't really care about this looking perfect or anything, because it's just for me, you know, something fun. So when I dye up the advent calendars, I will have one for myself, and I'm going to put them then in all of these bags so then I can open them each day through December. So, and then here's number 3. So you can see like the halo of the chalk. There we go. I can't talk. There we go. You can kind of see the stitches now. But then all you do is put, like, for example, this 20 gram skein, I would just put that in there. In my little bag, and just pull it, and there's day number 3. And so then I would put these in something. You know, you could hang them across a little clothesline, you could tie them to a tree. I mean, you can do whatever you want. I have a little basket. I think that's what I'm going to use. I think I have enough room in it. It's a little basket that was my Easter basket when I was a kid. My mom gave it to me. So I think I'm just going to put these all in there, stacked in there, and then, you know, starting at the bottom would be like, you know, 24th, 23rd, everything, and then on the top would be the first. So you work your way down the pile. I think that's what I'm going to do. But yeah, so that's what that looks like. Of course, the numbers look backwards in the video, but I think it's so much fun. So much fun. Yeah, I love it. Anyway, but you can just do, you know, whatever you want. And you don't have to put yarn in it. I mean, you could put different colors of embroidery floss in each bag. You could put stickers in there, progress keepers, stitch markers, you know, whatever your heart's desire. And then each day from December 1st through December 25th, you get a little goodie, and it's just really fun. I'm looking forward to it. You know, I'll be using, of course, my hand-dyed yarn, so I will definitely know what the colors are, but, you know, whatever. And I will also have the goodies in there that I will be giving out throughout the advent calendar. There will be some goodies in there as well, so I will get to participate in that and then show you guys as well as we go through the 1st of December through the 25th. So it's super exciting. I'm very excited about it, but I wanted to share that this is a fun way that, you know, you can make your own advent calendar if you are on a budget. And everything I used for this little advent calendar creation was stuff that I had on hand. So, I mean, you could use whatever you have. If you have rope instead of ribbon, you could definitely do that. Yeah, just get creative and have fun, and it's such a wonderful thing to look forward to when Christmas rolls around. So thank you guys so much for joining me. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your week with this little midweek drop-in, and I will see you shortly. Take care. Bye.